The president spoke highly of you, Agent Kennedy.
Likewise. He told me you've been friends for 30 years.
I am the National Security Advisor. It's my job to prevent terrorist attacks, not causing it.
You liar!
Lena.
Then you should have no problem turning yourselves in.
I said I was going to come into this calm. I said I was going to come into this and not point fingers at people. I wasn't going to be upset. But having had experienced Resident Evil 6, I don't know what the fuck people are complaining about, talking about, railing about, and ranting about. I don't understand. I can understand slight disappointment. I can understand saying that it's not everything that I thought it would be, but it's okay. But to come in and say that this is a bad game, bad game, I don't understand this. People, welcome to the Loading Bar review of Resident Evil 6. I'm so confused, and I hate being confused like this because I don't get people. This is some of the things that I hate about gamers. I am Corey Coleman, your loading bartender, here with the other loading bartenders. Jeff, how you doing?
I will tell you exactly what those people are talking about, Corey.
Shit. See, here we go. Here we go. You already coming at me wrong, man. You already doing it.
You started it. You started off with just like, fuck those people who don't like this game. And I'm like, hey.
Stop putting words into his mouth, okay?
All right. I was paraphrasing. I
did not say that. I believe the words were, I will stab you and you're that guy, meaning that asshole. But I never said anything else outside of that. Okay. Nick, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty well, man. I think you and I are actually inclined to agree with each other. So thank God. I was actually quite worried about giving my review because I'm like, am I the only one who actually is okay with this game? Am I the only one who actually likes this?
That's good to hear, Nick, that you and I agree. I'm still going to choke your ass for some reason or another. Kevin. Kevin, how are you, sir?
Men, there's a skyscraper-sized monster down the street. I want you to fight Baird. I know you just took a grenade to the face, but here's 10 bullets. Now go fight that giant monster.
All right. You know what? Listen,
that's my review of Resident Evil.
I thought you were going to say that giant monster was me with the way I'm going off right now. Listen, you know what, guys? I do want to say this. I will probably agree with you on a lot of things, a lot of things, but I just don't understand saying that the game is terrible. I don't know if you guys are saying that yourself, but now I got to be fair here too. As they say, full disclosure. That's French, isn't it? They say that, look, I haven't played all of the game. The game is huge, and Jeff is probably the only guy that we have right now who's on games full time as a living. The rest of us I was out of town in New York, and these other guys had work to do and whatnot. So Jeff, if I'm correct, you had everybody split it up into some of the different campaigns, because for Resident Evil 6, we have like 4 different games in here, but we have 3 major campaigns that you probably have heard about. You have one, and most of the major characters that you played with in the Resident Evil series throughout the years make an appearance here. We have Leon Kennedy in his own campaign. We have Chris Redfield in his own campaign, and then we have a new character, Jake
Mueller.
Yeah. Who is with the familiar Resident Evil character, just not one that you've played before. But we have that character there. So what I had to do is I had to just play the Leon campaign. And
you had to play the best campaign. So of course you got stuck with that.
See, that's why I have to be fair and say that I played only that one, because Jeff, if I'm correct, you said, why don't you play that one, Corey, because that's probably the one that's closest to the old school Resident Evil.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of game here, I wanted everybody to kind of take a different tack on it. So, Corey, you played Leon's. Kevin, you started with Chris's, and Nick, you started with Jake's.
That's right.
And then Nick, you got through everybody's except for the 4th one, right?
Yeah, the secret character that pops up. So, I've played all of them.
Okay, and for that character is not really all that secret, but I don't know. We'll keep from naming that character directly over the course of the review. It's really not a big thing. I mean, the back of the box kind of totes. We'll kind of ruin that shit for you. But if you really want to stay completely spoiler free, we'll just refer to we will make vague vague statements about the fourth campaign in the game. Yes. So, but yeah, I wanted to say that when I started playing this game, I started playing on the Leon campaign as well. And I was playing it and I was like, this isn't really so bad. I don't understand what everybody's talking about. It's just that as time goes on, this is one of those games where I feel like it's the death of 1,000 cuts. Like when you just look at this game, like from, if you step back from a distance and you look at it, you're like, what? It's a perfectly functional, it's very pretty. It's got a lot of action. It's got cutscenes, zombies, and all kinds of fucking creepy, crawly, crazy shit in it. But it's just as the game went on, there was the longer I played it, the more I was just kind of like, there were so many different little things. I was just like, why, Capcom? Why would you do that like that? Why would you change that, or why would you make that change to the game in something that is obviously not for the better? And so I don't know. We can get into that later. I don't know where you want to start with this, Corey. The story in this game is fucking all over the place. I mean, if we want to try to summarize it,
I was going to say, let's not start at the story, because that's one of the things I can tell you guys right off the bat.
It is a clusterfuck.
No, for all
the
you
stories
people,
entwine.
Well, for all you people who think I'm a Resident Evil ass kisser, who all of you think I got my lips on that mutant asshole, let me tell you something, I don't, because the story has gone completely fucking crazy. It's shit now. It doesn't even make any sense.
Well, the problem, I think, the major problem with the story in Resident Evil 6 is that they've kind of taken care of everything. Like in Resident Evil, Resident Evil 4 didn't really have any direct connection to Umbrella or any of that stuff from, the older games. But Resident Evil 5 tied up Wesker and Umbrella and a bunch of these other things to the point where there is nothing for Resident Evil 6 to fall back on story-wise. They were kind of trying to create a new story. The thing that's weird about it, though, is that I kept playing the game and going like, should I know who these people are? Like, they would keep mentioning people, be like, should I know who that guy is? Was he in a previous guy? I'm looking it up on the wiki, like, no, I don't know. I have any fucking clue who that guy is.
See, that's one of the things with this game is that it's a convoluted story, and that convoluted story kind of adds to convoluted gameplay, but this story doesn't it doesn't matter. But look, when they made Resident Evil 1 back in the day for the PS1, I don't think they had any idea that, 15 years later, they'd be on number 6. They just thought, hey, we're going to make a story about some zombies in a haunted house and wrap itself up and an evil corporation behind it. Done.
Yeah.
Wait, Wait a minute, you want to do 2 and 3? What, you're 4?
Yeah. Zero? Code Veronica? Gun Survivor?
You want to do a prequel? We really didn't think that far, but now the story is just insane, and Jeff is right. Because you have 4 different stories here, even though they intertwine, I think they do a good job at intertwining these stories, at least from what I was able to experience in the Leon campaign, because I knew some of those other stories that were taking place, and I thought, hey, that's cool how they brought these other characters in. I even like the way they interact.
Yeah.
But as far as the whole story goes, it's so much story that they just introduce villains like you knew this villain for years. That villain's Darth Vader or something. Like, hey, you know who this guy is. Come on, he's evil. You know him.
And it also is the sort of thing where, the game is broken up into these 3, the 3 major chapters in the 4th campaign. The thing is that you aren't really going to understand what the hell is going on here until you get to the end of the 4th campaign. But not only that, one of the things that really is kind of irritating about this game is that there is a lot of information that should have been told to you about who the fuck these people are, what the fuck they're doing, why the fuck they're doing it, that is relegated to text in this little sub-menu where you shoot these emblems, it unlocks these little files and you can go read about it. You could find out the history of these people or where they've come from. But when you start playing Jake Mueller's campaign and you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is he here? Where did he come from? Like, the thing is that the thing about Jake Mueller that is the most mind-blowing thing in the entire game is that apparently they don't really get into this, or at least I didn't see it in any of the stuff that I read, but apparently Albert Wesker fucked somebody and then that person had a kid.
We get Wesker Jr. here, Wesker babies and shit.
Right, I'm surprised that his bioorganic, spunk did just blow Jake's mom's head off when he, how exactly did that go down? Did he walk into a bar one night? He was just like, "Hey, baby, no, I don't take the sunglasses off ever."
If you played the games, Wesker Wesker he's a mutant himself. He's a monster. So whoever was the woman that had that kid, her pussy, her vagina just exploded when that baby was born.
Yeah, you see later in the game when you shoot people and like the big mutated shit comes bursting out of them. They're like, oh no, that's not what happened, was it? Oh my god!
In fact, Jake was a full-grown man when he walked out that vagina. There was no baby in there. He was like some, it's
just like from Alien, just right in his mom's stomach.
I tell you, Jeff, I used to criticize the Resident Evil movies because I said, Resident Evil was such an atmospheric and somewhat compared to the movies a simple story, and these movies have just gone crazy with the techno dancing music and the action and the Michael Bay special effects. That's pretty much the Michael Bay school of filmmaking. Fuck the story. Let's just go ahead and just create a bunch of explosions and visuals. And
oh my god, there's so many explosions.
Yeah, and now the games have gone the way of the movies. So, okay, point taken here. You don't play. Some people are saying, yeah, the stories were cool. Now they've gone batshit crazy. Some other people are saying, look, that's cool, but how does it play? The story doesn't always matter.
I just want to know who was passing out the ammunition. Like, I want to play that guy because apparently he didn't have enough of it to go around, and the whole selecting the grenade situation rather than just assigning it a button. I'm not sure what this game was all about.
Yeah, he's a proper pike. He's like, oh, here's 2 clips of ammunition. Have you seen the size of that fucking monster I'm going to fight, mate? Seriously.
I want to know who the guy in every video game is that has to go around and stuff ammunition and money up creatures' asses so when you kill them, they just pop out. Because that's what happens here. You get some of the most grotesque monsters, but yet they have a wallet.
Would you be?
It's not just items that you find in monsters. Like one of the main evil characters puts his fucking keys in zombies' heads, like for his own house. That made no sense whatsoever. I'm just like, do you put your car keys in a zombie's ass as well? It's like, oh shit, I've got to go through this maze and then jump through these tunnels.
Well, why do crates only have 1 pack of ammunition inside? Like, what's that about? That's like the worst shipping ever. Like, you got to haul these big crates into a room, and then there's just like 1 pack of ammunition. I would be pissed if I was the crate moving guy.
How is it that every vase in all of China happens to have some 9mm stuff into it? Like, I understand the green herbs, but like, seriously, the ammunition.
And Nick, to answer your question, your car keys, especially your house keys, what do you? If somebody was going to rob your house, I mean, what would they be most likely to take the keys from? The keys from like a fake rock on the ground, or would they try to steal it from that big mutant fanged monster that's standing right there in front of your door? They probably wouldn't break in at all at that point. Yeah, so I can see that.
Okay, picture this: you're the owner of the house, and you come back drunk one night, and you're like, left your keys back in your car on the other side of town. You're like, oh shit! And you're stumbling around, and you're trying to remember where you put it and which zombie you actually left it in. I mean, I've got to say, it's good that he doesn't use guard dogs. He uses fucking zombies instead.
Is it you? You got my keys. What about you? Oh, fuck. Okay, somebody raise your hand who's got my keys, goddammit. But you know something? Okay, going into the gameplay here, this is what I want to try to be fair about. Now, judging from my campaign that I played, I have to say that when the game first started out, if you want to talk about the tone of Resident Evil, I'm there with some people on that. It doesn't feel like that. And it doesn't feel that way for specific reasons. The game opens up with way too many Quicktime events, and the controls are a little bit hard to get used to. And that annoyed me. That annoyed me to no end. I'm saying, just throw me into the action and let me do some exploring. Quicktime events are some of the weakest parts, even in Resident Evil 4. They're some of the weakest parts of what they introduced to this series, and I kind of wish they had kind of dropped off on that.
Well, but I mean, as far as the Quicktime events go, one of the things that I found, and I don't know, this is going to be something that is purely based on taste for people in video games. And I can't remember how it was in 5, but I remember in 4 that you would do a Quicktime event, and it would, if you failed it, it would put you back to the beginning of the Quicktime event, but they would always randomize, like, what buttons you were using. So you could never just learn, okay, well, now I got to hit these 2 buttons, and then this, and then this, and then this. But in this game, it's like that, and what it means is that you end up, like, there's one sequence where you're riding on the back of this big shark asshole, and I failed it a couple times, and it's like I just had to memorize the sequence. And so it wasn't like, it takes a layer of interactivity out of it to the point where the Quicktime events start to just feel a lot like a chore, especially the events that they do whenever a zombie grabs you and you have to get out of that. And there's just this little like rotating thing where you have to rotate. And it's almost always the exact same thing. And I don't know. I mean, like, the controls for this they seem very
shitty.
Yeah,
I would say shitty. They're just loose. They're very loose.
I mean, the main difference for people who want to know is that you can now walk and shoot at the same time. Like, that's one of the biggest differences from this. In Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, all the Resident Evils before this, except for, I think, like, the online one for the PS2, like the sequel to that, you could walk and shoot. But the thing is that you can walk and shoot at the same time, and that's kind of takes a little bit of that attention away because you could walk backwards.
I wouldn't agree with that because Resident Evil 5, you were just as unstoppable.
No, but the thing is that in Resident Evil 5, you had to make a choice between this thing is coming at me. Am I going to shoot at it or am I going to turn 180 degrees, put my back to it, and run in the opposite direction? Now, you can walk backwards away from guys and you can throw yourself to the side, out of the way. You can quit. At any point in time, you could dodge to one side or the other. And I'm not necessarily saying that's a bad thing, but it makes everything way less scary. When you've got this huge monster running at you, all I got to do is just jump to the side.
Except if that monster happens to be at any distance other than, like, next to you, you're just going to miss, like, constantly. What is with that aiming reticle, too? That little red dot just goes, like, I don't know, like, the guy, it's got Tourette's or something. It just spins away, and you're just shooting at guys, and you only have so much ammunition. So it's like, it really becomes like a white of their eyes type of situation because you're just wasting it trying to shoot a guy far away because I don't know. There's no. I can't zoom in.
Well, see that particular thing. I mean, the aiming reticle was another thing that I was kind of like, why did you guys do this? And in Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, they managed to create this really tense situation where you would hold up your gun and then you had to guide that little red dot. And that was your only way that you had to center your target on the target's head. So they're getting closer and you're trying to get it on their head and you're trying to make sure that you're saving your ammo. Whereas in this game, they put the little 4-piece cross reticle around where you're going to be, so you don't even have to be aiming your gun to aim. You could put the camera over their head, then hold down the button to pull out your gun and shoot them like you would a normal shooter. And I'm not necessarily saying this is a bad thing. It just makes it a lot more of a generic shooter, and it removes, in my opinion, a lot of the tension that the game had previously in 4 or 5.
See, okay, that's where I kind of disagree with you guys because while the controls they're a little oily. They're a little slippery. I mean, it's almost too loose. I mean, bless Capcom's heart. They're trying to get this control thing right. They hear people saying, I'm hating the tank controls. I don't like doing this 180-degree thing where I got to stop and spin around and shoot. And they're trying. And I commend them on trying to fix that. Being able to walk and shoot, I don't think it takes anything away from the tension because there are moments where you are surrounded by so many enemies that you are focused on one area and you don't even know that there's a bunch of enemies behind you that are sneaking up on you. You always, and you have to remain, I don't think the controls are that bad when you have to remain vigilant. I mean, and besides the problems I'm talking about, the controls being loose, but as far as being able to walk and shoot, people have been asking for that. And I think that they've taken a step in the right direction with that while keeping the tension there.
Well, see, I agree. I guess one of the things that it comes down to for me is that I feel like Resident Evil 4 and Resident Evil 5, by making you plant yourself in place and you can only shoot when you're stopped, like that was a way to keep the game tense so that you're not running and kind of spraying back and forth or doing that stuff. So you can't shoot and move at the same time. And I feel like this is kind of one of the major problems that I have with this game is that if they wanted to make this game into a third-person shooter, which it seemed like they really wanted to do, like between opening up the controls, letting you, especially, I can't tell you how much that leaping mechanic is just irritating because it takes all of that. In my opinion, it takes all of that, if something is running at you, you just jump out of the way, or if something hits you from behind, you can just jump out of the way and roll and get back up and turn around and shoot. Like, I feel like if they were going to go that action game route, that they should have refined the controls more. They should not have hung on to as much of the conventions of Resident Evil as they did if they wanted to make an action game, because as it stands, I feel like what they've got here is an action game with really unsatisfying controls and
no ammo
yeah. You don't see, that's why a motherfucker can't grow because of people like you. I'm trying to sit up and be calm and listen to this shit, but I can't do it no more. they talk about, man, you know, one of the things that makes survival horror so good is when ammo is scarce and when you're panicked and you're shooting your ammo.
Not when they're sending
survival horror.
They're sending 100 guys at you.
And there are certain parts where it works on the survival horror level. At least, you know, again, through the Leon campaign, that's the closest one to the classic survival horror that we know. And there were moments where I did feel like my ammunition is running out, and I was a little tense. It's not scary. It's just more tense. But, you know, motherfucker like Kevin, you can't please him. Because
They got zombies shooting rocket launchers at me and climbing out of helicopters and shit.
Yeah,
Those weren't zombies, those were Jews. I mean, Juavo, whatever they were.
Oh, yeah.
These Mexican wrestlers.
No, the thing is, there's definitely a difference, and I feel like you guys are reviewing two different games here. Because in Chris's campaign, the enemies all have machine guns, and they're all shooting at you.
Yeah.
So they expect you to...
That's fucking stupid, that. I hated that. Like, if they can have machine guns, why do you have to make them monsters with machine guns? Just make them fucking people, okay? Like, if I want to play, a monster game, I want to play a monster game. I want to fight against zombies. That's why I enjoyed Leon's campaign a lot more than the others.
Well, but what that means is that you end up having to use the cover mechanic in this game, which is kind of garbage. It seems to activate when you don't want it. And the other thing is that the amount of people
which campaign is that?
That's Chris's campaign, yeah. At the number of enemies that they tend to throw at you at one time, you will run out of ammo, and you'll do it pretty fast. And especially because one of the very first things that they show you in Chris's campaign is you bust open a door, and there's a Juavo there, and a guy shoots him in the face, and his head explodes, and then his head grows back. So Resident Evil 6 has now eliminated headshots. Like, it used to be that headshots on a zombie, like, that totally did something, whereas now, and in Resident Evil 4, they got around that beautifully by having the giant thing come out of here, but by just saying, like, well, no, fuck you. It's just going to grow back. Like, it doesn't even guy that hardly takes any damage. It's just his head grows back. So you say, well, then why should I just be pumping his torso full of bullets, which means that it's become more of just a straight-up action game and less of a survival horror game.
Well, in Leon's campaign, they didn't grow back, so...
No, that's because they were zombies. That was the classic.
Exactly.
I mean, like, I just got to say one thing. I think out of the whole game, the best part is just mission 1 for Leon. And that's it. Like, I felt that was like... I was playing, I was like, this is absolutely awesome. I didn't see what people were bitching about. And then it got more and more ridiculous as it went on. Like, I don't like going through all these giant mazes and trying to figure stuff out. I like the survival horror aspect where you're trying to group up with a bunch of survivors and just trying to make it out alive.
I will say that, listen, I had fun playing what I played, and it did have some problems. I mean, even right down to one of the things that took away from the atmosphere of Resident Evil is having a lot of NPCs and a lot of non-playable characters. They were so generic, and listen, in these kind of games, don't ever hang out with Leon and Helena. Go to the Red Cross or something, but don't ever hang out with these guys because they are death. Everybody dies around them. There's one part, I don't want to spoil anything, but they're on a bus. Everybody dies. They're in a gun shop. Everybody dies. There's a part where they're on a plane and they come back and everybody on the plane is wiped out. It's like, Jesus Christ, you guys are walking death. Do not hang out with them.
You know what's funny? It's like there's a part where they go to a church. It's like, please let us in. And one guy's like, fuck you. No, I'm not letting you in. You're Leon Helena.
Yeah. Is that Leon? Hell no, don't let him in here, man. We're all going to die.
They let you into that church and then you fuck them. Like, by your direct actions, everybody in that place gets killed. You know?
It's like, hey, what you guys doing? Oh, we're just opening this door.
But don't open any doors.
Stay closed.
Don't open any doors.
Yeah, don't do not for them. Is that boy with that old gay ass haircut? Don't let him in here, man. Any guy outside looks like he's in a boy band. Do not open that door for them. It could be Leon. No, you know the game. I think there is spectacle there. I mean, when I say Michael Bay of movie, this is a Michael Bay of games. I mean that somewhat in a good way when it comes to just the great set pieces. That's why I'm confused when it get into these areas where, and there's even moments where the acting is okay. I'm not going to say it's great, but for a game, it's decent, it's passable. But your non-playable characters early on in the game, they're horrible. The voice acting is bad for them. The design doesn't even match up to the quality of some of the character designs in other parts of the game. I mean, they look bad. They look like sim characters almost, and it makes me wonder how much time they spent on those, because they look like they just added those in at the last minute. But and then they go around saying the same thing. When I was in that church, I was getting irritated because there's one guy who kept walking around. He kept yelling, "Shit!" Shit! I was like, man, you got Tourette's or something? But it's but outside of that, I think that as the game progressed, I had fun with it. The gameplay was enjoyable. I played by myself, so the AI for my partner was, I would say, was probably a slight improvement over Resident Evil 5. And when I was playing,
it's definite improvement. I remember Resident Evil 5, the AI was so shit because it would waste so much ammo just firing at me and not at the enemy in front of me.
You?
And because I'll be in front of them. And
well, you shouldn't have called Shiva that, Nick. You should just, be nice to her, and she's fine.
Well, yeah, okay, but just because she wastes all her ammo doesn't mean she can say, "I'm out of ammo." It's like, I know, bitch, you just wasted it.
I had a problem where she was always trying to heal me. I was like, I would just have like a little bit. I would be down just a little bit on my health. I wouldn't need to like waste the whole first aid spray. She come up, I'm like, I'm okay, bitch. Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, it should be noted here that the way that they got around this issue is the AI characters are indestructible and have infinite ammo.
Yeah, they are.
So, I mean,
you're right about that.
There's no way.
Yeah, but they can hold out. They can take care of their own, and when they run off...
Well, yeah, they're indestructible.
Yeah, but when they run off, they actually run off and open doors and stuff. Like, you don't have to babysit them, which is great.
Yeah.
I thought that was a
I
really
see what you're saying, Jeff. Look, between having... What would I rather have? Would I rather have an AI character that's helping me out, even if they're indestructible, or would I want it to turn into some shitty escort mission? Given between the two, I would rather have the indestructible character.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. This is a major improvement over Resident Evil 5. I think I think that having the AI characters be indestructible and have infinite ammo is great. I think that's...
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm 100% serious. I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. And they'll even bring it back to life by punching in the chest really hard because Capcom couldn't be bothered to put like a syringe or something in their hand, so they just run up to you and...
Why do I gotta assemble the green herbs into a... why can't I just find like a health pack?
Why you gotta put them in your little Tic Tac box?
Why do I gotta assemble that whole little thing?
Because that's what you did in previous Resident Evils. That's
I know, but it's stupid.
Yeah.
So is the spray. What's in the spray? Anyway, that's magic spray.
Stop that. Now, you know better.
Come on. I might as well just find a chicken leg on the ground and eat it and get health. I mean, it's just...
That's not going to give you health.
It's such cliche, though. It's like old school video game cliche stuff. It's so silly, man.
Yeah, that's what it's
about
harkening back to, the old school Resident Evil games. That's what you used to do.
But then they change everything else about it. So, but they got to keep these like old tropes in there or something.
Yeah,
like,
but then you get some fanboys bitching about that, though.
Like, are you really going to go grab like a whole potted plant and put it in your bag or something?
The problem with that green herb thing,
Jeff, I'm gonna let you talk. I just got to say this. When we played Resident Evil on the 3DS, not a goddamn complaint about the green herbs came up at all from Kevin.
Well, they weren't trying. They weren't trying to change the gameplay like they are here. I mean, it's like all trying to be realistic and the helicopters exploding and stuff.
Realistic? What?
And then I gotta be. Then I gotta like be like, I gotta take some leaves off this plant and stick it on my body or something. It's just retarded. I don't know.
Here's the problem with those
Japanese
things.
Shit.
Is that they make you take an extra step to put them in your little Tic Tac pouch. Like that is true. This has been retooled as an action game, and if the game would pause when you went into your inventory, it also would not have been a problem. But the fact that the game does not pause, even if you're playing offline, when you go into your inventory, and you've got to essentially memorize this button combination to combine the herbs and then put them in your little thing, and then you jam on the R2 button a whole bunch to get out 5 of them because you can't just hit it one time or hold it down. Like, that should have been the sort of thing where if you pick up a green herb, it's just in that case. There's no good reason to make you go through all that bullshit. Especially,
that's true.
It's just holding on to something that you don't need to hold on to anymore. especially when they've changed it.
Yeah, managing your weapons and your accessories and your health items, it's a little more convoluted than it should be. And the game doesn't slow down when you're trying to get through it. I'm not saying, look, I'm not saying I can't handle that. They did it in Dead Space where you can't, when you pull up your menu item, it's seamlessly done in the gameplay, but in the game doesn't stop. And so that's a good example of a challenging system where you have to if you want to pick up some items and you're still on the run or you're in danger, but that's seamlessly intertwined with the gameplay. Here, it's just confusing.
Well, the other problem is the fact that they have removed all of the inventory management from Resident Evil 4 and 5. Like in 4, you had the case, in 5, you had the little 3x3 grid that you could choose stuff to put into. And that's one of the things about Dead Space is that you were only ever carrying like 4 weapons. By the end of Resident Evil 6, you've got like 6 or 7 different types of weapons and usually about 8 different kinds of ammo. And then suddenly, when you're at the very end of the game, you go to pick something up and it's like, hey, your inventory is full. It's like, well, whoa. I don't get to choose this shit before, but now you're going to make me monitor all this stuff and throw away grenades because suddenly you've imposed this arbitrary limit as to how many things I can have in my inventory.
And you don't have a chest anymore where you can store all your stuff. So
not only that, but they also took out all of the upgrade mechanics for the weapons. Resident Evil 4 and 5 both had a store that you could go to make your gun more powerful, your reload speed more powerful. They've substituted in this stupid skill system where you can have 3 skills only at any point in time.
I was going to mention that the system that they had in Resident Evil 4 where you could upgrade your weapons and upgrade your backpack. That's I know they're trying something different here, but it didn't work here. I agree with you completely, Jeff. That skill system, it doesn't even feel natural. It doesn't even feel like they thought it through. They just said, we just want to try something different. Let's just throw it in the game.
It's even more convoluted than that because when you beat the game, they give you 8 different groups of 3 so that you can mix and match your skills. And so then at any time during the game, you can hit the select button and you can go into this separate menu and change your set of skills. But why make it that complicated? And it doesn't pause the game when you go into that menu. So
I didn't even know that. I played almost the whole game and I didn't even notice.
I hate when they introduce a skill system that they have here and you can't do anything until you finish a chapter. Because you're just waiting, and there's no fun in waiting to build up your skills when you just have to wait for the chapter to be over.
Plus, that's a great segue because the chapters are fucking long as hell in this game. They should be 10 chapters. It should be 10 chapters with a break because I can't count the number of times I was playing a chapter. I was like, surely this is the end of it now, right? The helicopter just exploded or driving away. Nope, there's a driving segment. Okay, all right, we'll do this now. Okay, now we're done. No, now I gotta go. Okay, all right now. Okay, fine. All right. It's been 2.5 hours. I'm finally done with chapter 3. Okay.
But the game does look nice. I got to say something positive. It looks nice.
Yeah, it's
very pretty.
Nice. Extremely nice. It looks great. Especially the characters' faces, like some of the emotion they managed to get across, some of the storyline is fantastic. And I've been doing a lot of bitching, but I don't want it to sound like I didn't like this game was. It's not broken. It's just there's a lot of little stuff like the stuff I've been listing off. And so when you get used to all that stuff and you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to live with all these things, the game is pretty fun once you buy into all those different systems. It's just that as a Resident Evil game, it's not that scary, and as an action game, it's not that polished.
You're not a true gamer, Jeff.
True.
You don't like the Resident Evil.
Very true.
No, you know what, Jeff? I agree. Listen, as much fun as I had playing, and as much as they're trying to do something different with this, the things that worked are the things that kind of stayed the same, and the stuff that they tried to do different and tried to advance on with things that they kind of faltered with. Basically, if my campaign, the Leon campaign, it was a mixture of 3 games. It was Resident Evil 2, 4, and 5, and you could see where they pulled elements from each one of those. So it's not like they did anything daring or new with the gameplay. They just got a bunch of these things together, and then they tried to just do different things with maybe, like we said, the skill system here, maybe some different things with the combat. Of course, you got different enemies and whatnot that do different things, but it's kind of all the same. It seems to be a series that wants to innovate itself, but hasn't found its footing yet. And in this case, I get the feeling that I can't say for sure, but I get the feeling when you bring in all of the other stories and everything in here, it's just more of a of a convoluted mishmash of everything that we've seen before that really has been brought together well yet to create something new like they did with Resident Evil 4. They have not been able to just hit lightning like that again. As much as I want to defend the game, can I get my rating right now? Or do you guys want to? Well,
Nick and Kevin, you guys haven't talked very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, you guys go ahead.
Well, I think that this game, I mean, like, it's really a globe-trotting adventure, and it's not necessarily a survival horror game. I mean, for me, the Resident Evil game that I knew is Long Dead and Buried, and it's replaced the atmospheric horror with action-packed set pieces. Like, one scene, you're having a snowmobile race down a mountain where there's an avalanche coming after you, and somehow there's like earthquakes going on at the same time. I don't think avalanches work that way, but fuck it, whatever. And the fact that it's all convoluted with all these different stories going on. I mean, like, there are moments in the game where you're like, okay, now I'm enjoying myself. Two other moments where you're like, okay, I just want to kind of get this over with, and it feels repetitive.
Yeah. You know what, Nick? I will say that it's a game that's finally hit the equivalent of. I mean, we've done this with other games, but wow, this is a perfect example of a game that has hit Hollywood blockbuster status now. They don't know what to do with it, so they just say, just make it big.
Yeah,
put lots of stuff in there.
That's kind of the feeling that I got through the entire thing, was that it's trying to please too many people. Like, if you wanted to make an action game that was Resident Evil, concentrate on making a Resident Evil action game. Just throw the old systems away and build it from the ground up with a specific vision of, we're going to make an action game and it's going to be brand new, and we're going to throw all the old stuff out. If you wanted to just kind of stay with the Resident Evil 4 and 5 framework, stay with that framework more. Quit throwing away the stuff that people enjoy, like the upgrade mechanics and some of the other stuff. Like, stick to one or the other. But the fact that it seems like they're trying to just make everybody happy, and that they've ended up making nobody happy.
Yeah, and there's things they put in there that didn't really work before. One of the things I will say kind of just felt arbitrary in Resident Evil 5 are some of the driving sequences that you have in there. I don't think that's needed in these kind of games.
Oh god, you don't even know there are so many driving sequences in this game.
Seriously, I mean, like, you can actually fly a Harrier jump jet.
Mm-hmm.
But I seriously stand by my opinion that the first chapter for Leon's campaign is what I was looking forward to the most, and it felt the most familiar. And I wish it just carried on that way, and rather than fucking going all the way to China, then just like stay in that one place and just build upon that.
I kind of wish they had done the same thing, but I wish they had done it with Jake, because I thought, we've seen so much Leon and we've seen so much Chris. Let's bring somebody new into the franchise and start making up a new mythology. But before we go any further, the other thing I think we should just mention really quickly is the other modes in this game, because the game does have the Mercenaries mode from previous games, which is a time...
Agent Hunt modes, which is quite fun.
Where you can jump into somebody else's game, kind of Dark Souls style, and become a zombie and try to hunt them down if they're playing online like that.
You can fuck with them and piss them off. That's really
Actually,
funny.
they did that in my game. In the campaign, people would just pop up and they say so-and-so is entered as a creature.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell who or where they were, and it kind of added an element of fun to what I was doing. So, yeah, that's an addition. That's good innovation right there for the series. That's something that's worked for them. I think if they walk away with anything that they've done different here, that was kind of fun.
Yeah. It also has, the game also has the full co-op from Resident Evil 5. So, every campaign except for the fourth one, and I think they're actually making DLC for the fourth one to add this in, has two characters, and you can play online with another person, which, is good. I have my own opinions about whether or not you should even have co-op in a game that's supposed to be scary, but I think it's clear this is not supposed to be scary, so it's better. It can sometimes be better to play with another person than it is to play with the computer. And that's all back as well. So there's that. There's collectibles. There's an upgrade tree a fucking mile long that's going to take... you're going to have to replay this game over and over and over and over again in order to get everything that's in there. Because every time you go through a level, you'll get points that you can then spend on upgrade things, and there's a lot. And there's this whole separate tree for Mercenaries mode. There's a whole separate tree for Agent Hunt mode. So if you're determined to get all that stuff, there is a lot of reasons to replay this game over and over and over again if you're having fun with it. So, as a value, if you like the game, there's going to be a lot to do in there.
Yeah, yeah. Kevin, like we said, you haven't spoken a whole lot. You wanna come in with some knowledge here?
Jake is a dick. How about that? And Chris too. Chris is a tool. I totally not the kind of people you want to know in life.
What about Leon?
You know? Well, I didn't get to play Leon. It sounded like that was the best part, according to.
He's
Nick
a
there.
goody two shoes anyway, so you probably would have enjoyed that.
But he's
So,
cute.
I was just
Pretty
more,
sure
like,
that Pierre's guy's gay too, but yeah.
I was just talking to Jeff how like I just realized that they shrunk Chris's biceps from the previous Resident Evil game. Did anyone else notice that?
He's been punching as many boulders.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That was something that was so stupid about the last game. It
was, though.
His biceps were the size of 2 human heads, and he could punch boulders. I'm like, come on. I know this game's ridiculous, but not that goddamn ridiculous.
It's like
come
this.
on now.
He's one of those douchebags who goes to the gym and just works on their biceps, so it's all out of proportion with the rest of their body. So
He's like, he's got a reverse Popeye going on.
I'm glad that they addressed that. I know it's nitpicking, but that really did piss me off in the last game. It's like, you look like a tool, dude. Just stop, hammer curling or whatever it is.
They addressed that, but they still haven't talked about the fact that Leon essentially has a hair eye patch that's keeping him from having fucking stereo vision.
I mean, like,
get a Barrette or a fucking just snip that shit real fast. Just cut
get
it right
rid
off.
of your Flock of Seagulls haircut. Is 2012, dude. Okay, it wasn't even cool. Resident Evil 2 was around.
I know, Kevin. If you hate the aiming stuff in your campaigns, wait till you try to play with Leon when you can't see that one eye that's covered up by hair. He's shooting out a fucking wall.
It'd be so funny if the game was played first person. You had to flick your controller wirelessly to brush the hair out of the way.
That's 6-axis right there. Yeah.
Those fucking those bangs that are coming down over here.
Covering half the screen. You'd be like,
No,
that would really piss you off.
Yeah, how come you instead of finding first aid spray, find some mousse and slick that shit down? And get a razor.
Yeah, copy Wesker. He knew how to do it.
That Jersey Shore haircut. Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah, let's go do some ratings.
Yeah, Jeff, I agree with you that I don't know what to tell you. If you're really, really enjoying the game and you enjoy all of the games so far, from the horror games to the more action-oriented games, then this might be a full price for you. But if you're somebody who's kind of like us and saying that, it's just trying too hard to put too much into one game, and I don't know if I want to play this anymore when I'm done with it, then I would say that I went through my campaign so quick that I would rent it. I would rent it, and unless you start playing some of the other campaigns, and you really do want to try finishing the game, and even then, I think after 2 or 3 weeks, after a month, you'll be done. But look, like I said, if you're hardcore, and it's gonna be fun for me to say this. There are truly, indeed, more hardcore Resident Evil fans than I am, because I would just rent this game. I'm slightly
giving it a rental.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry. No. Well,
You call rental bargain bin.
Yeah, rental's below bargain bin.
Rentals below bargain bin?
Yeah.
Jeez, we got to get these ratings right. Yeah. Whatever the next step down from a full price is.
Bargain bin.
Bargain bin. Okay, I'm giving this, go to the bargain bin, wait for it to come down on price. You buy it for something cheaper than full price. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Or if you want to rent this from GameFly and play it and send it back, I don't think you're going to miss it when you give it back. But if you're really, really hardcore, you just got to have the box to sit with the other games that you have in your collection. And by all means, go ahead and buy it, because there's still a lot of stuff for you to do there, like Jeff said. So yeah, bargain bin for me.
Corey, can I ask you something quickly?
Yes, sir.
Are you going to have a go at
No,
the
I don't
game?
like the way this is going. I don't want to hear it anymore.
All right.
Jeff, go ahead. No,
are you going to have a go at the game because you kill Chinese people in it? Since the last game, you just killed black people, and that was a big thing for you.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Well, this time they said they just put masks on them. They're like, you know what? Fuck you guys. They got masks on. You don't know where they're fucking from.
I'm waiting for the.
They were in China. Where do you think they're from?
I don't know.
I'm talking about
foreign mercenaries.
I'm waiting for the black Resident Evil character where I get to go and kill a bunch of white people. That's what I'm waiting for. No, of course not.
You kill a bunch of white people.
But not as a black man, I don't. No, I'm just saying that because somebody called me racist the other day. I don't know. I don't even know why. But anyway, yeah, bargain. And Jeff, go ahead.
I think, like I said before, this was, for me, was the death of 1,000 cuts. I felt like there were so many little things that I was seeing as the game went through, where when it first started, I was having fun with it, and just as time went on, it was kind of like, it just got a little bit less and less good, especially once you hit Chris's campaign, and to a certain extent, Jake's as well. I'm going to give this a little bit lower than you. I'm going to give this a high rental. So I wouldn't recommend buying this game, but I still think there's enough interesting stuff here to for you to check out, to go and rent it, barrel through it in a weekend and then let it go. So yeah, high rental, not much more than that here. Kevin, what do you think?
Better than sex.
Yes?
I'm thinking, I listened to everything you guys said, and I just think you guys are forgetting that this is Resident Evil.
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
What?
It's Resident Evil. It's better than, because that's how it is. It's Resident Evil. Look, I can say it. Fuck it. Doesn't matter. No, I'm kidding.
Kevin's having a seizure.
Guys fucking lost my mind on something. No, it's, I was going to say bargain bin as well. Because I didn't actually think it's that horrible. I mean, it's certainly playable. There's a lot, you got all these different missions that you can play through. They try and mix it up a little bit. You got these multiplayer elements that they're putting in there. I mean, they're throwing a lot of shit at you. It's got really good visuals. It's certainly playable. It's disappointing as a Resident Evil game, but it's certainly a game. And it's, there's parts in it that are challenging enough, and it can be fun at times. It's just, it does have some flaws. So, bargain bin it.
I want to put that on the back of Resident Evil. Get the sticker on there. It's a game, Kevin Bear.
It's Resident Evil. Enough. Seriously.
Nick, did you give a rating yet?
No, I haven't. I would also have to give it a decent bargain bin rating. I don't see what the big deal is with all these other websites and critics saying how it's god awful. I got the exact same experience from this game as I did with Resident Evil 5. I mean, I could see and understand people's gripes with it, but I had fun playing it. But I won't be picking it up again. I don't think it's going to give me any reason to return to it, to playing the game now that I finished it.
All right, then.
There we go.
See, people,
I'd rather play the new Dead Space.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Well,
sorry.
That's
okay,
a whole other area of complaints right there. But yeah, no. See, people, we're all fair. I especially can be fair. So if all you complainers out there saying I was just coming in to just suck the balls of this game, I have not. I think I gave a very, very fair assessment of this game.
You know what? I actually, Corey, I think I have to lower my score a little bit just because when you said sucking balls, it reminded me of the Resident Evil logo and how they still didn't change that. And every time it comes up in this game, I got to see that goddamn giraffe bending that woman over.
Oh my God! I like at the beginning of the game where they tell you they even use people. You know the whole thing with the 6 and where it looks like a woman blowing a giraffe. And they did not bother. They just said the hell with it. We don't care. We don't give a fuck. We're keeping that giraffe in that fucking bestiality girl. And you're going to like it. Even at the beginning of the game, they were saying, when you see the 6 on the screen, lower your brightness till you can hardly see it. And I'm thinking, oh, wait a minute, you mean lower the brightness until I can't see the woman sucking the giraffe's dick anymore?
I don't know. If you turn your TV up real loud, you could hear like on that screen.
Yeah, the guy saying Resident Evil's got a mouthful, so he mumbles.
Find anything interesting?
A recording from 6 months ago.
You still haven't figured it out. Allow me to clarify. Tomorrow, the U.S. will suffer a bioterrorist attack. After that, China. And then major cities all around the world will suffer the same fate. At the hands of Neo Umbrella's very own, Ada Wong.
I lost all my men because of her! I lost over 70,000 people, including the president, because of Simmons. She's working for Neo Umbrella. You know what that means? Yeah, I do.